Welcome to Info Guru, where we dig up the true stories history keeps hidden. Everyone knows Tesla invented AC power and the Tesla coil. But he patented almost 300 inventions, and dreamed up way more than that, over 700 ideas by some counts. Today I'm going through 15 of his wildest ones, the stuff barely anybody talks about, and for every single one, I'm going to tell you straight, did he actually build it and prove it worked? Was it just a patent that never got made? Or is it honestly just a legend that got out of hand? No guessing, just what actually happened. Let's get into it. Invention 1, the remote control. Back in 1898, Tesla built a little 3-foot boat and steered it from across the room using radio signals, with nobody touching it. He showed it off at a big exhibition in New York, and the crowd thought he was doing magic or reading minds. Some people even accused him of controlling it with his mind. The trick was a little radio receiver hidden inside the boat that only responded to his exact signal. This one's completely real. He got an actual patent for it, and it's basically the great-grandfather of every drone, remote control toy, and self-driving car you've got today. He even tried selling the idea to the military as a weapon, but they weren't interested at the time. Their loss. Invention 2, the on-off switch that runs your computer. While building the control system for that little boat, Tesla needed a way for it to respond only when 2 different signals showed up at the exact same time, otherwise enemies could jam or hijack it. So he built a circuit for that. Turns out, that's the exact same basic idea sitting inside every computer chip on the planet today, deciding between yes and no, 1 and 0. This one's completely real too, sitting in an actual patent from 1903. Tesla had absolutely no idea he was inventing a piece of the future computer, decades before computers even existed as a concept. Invention 3, an engine with no blades. Normal turbines spin using blades, like a fan. Tesla's version used a stack of smooth, flat disks instead, and the fluid just dragged along the surface as it spiraled outward, spinning the whole stack. He built several real working versions of this back in 1913, and it actually worked. It was smooth, quiet, and simple. It just never caught on commercially at the time because the materials of the era couldn't handle the heat and pressure. The wild part is engineers are still experimenting with Tesla's disk engine today, over 100 years later, for things like small drones, pumps, and clean energy projects. Invention 4, the so-called earthquake machine. This one's part real, part tall tale. Tesla really did build a small vibrating device, small enough to fit in a coat pocket, that could shake things at just the right frequency to make them resonate. Legend says he tested it in his lab on Houston Street in Manhattan and it started shaking nearby buildings so badly that police showed up thinking there was an actual earthquake, and Tesla had to smash the device with a hammer to make it stop before anyone found out what caused it. That story comes straight from Tesla himself, told later in life, with no photo, blueprint, or outside record confirming it happened that dramatically. So the device is real, the city shaking story might be exaggerated. Invention 5, a machine that actually got sold in stores. Tesla patented a device that used high-voltage electricity to turn regular air into ozone, and he started an entire company just to sell it to doctors. They used it as an early kind of air purifier and even a medical treatment, mixing ozone into olive oil until it turned into a gel, and selling that as a product doctors used to treat well over 100 different ailments. This one is completely real and was an actual working business, not just an idea on paper. Some of the medical claims were pretty out there by today's standards, but the device itself really did work and really did sell, right up until regulators moved away from ozone therapy decades later. Invention 6, X-rays, years before X-rays were even officially a thing. Tesla was experimenting with high-voltage tubes in his lab and took pictures he called shadowgraphs, including one of his own hand showing the bones right through the skin. He even tried to photograph his friend Mark Twain with the setup, though that particular shot came out as just a screw from the camera instead. Here's the wild part, he was doing this before the man officially credited with discovering X-rays even announced it to the world. But a fire burned down Tesla's lab and destroyed his notes and photos, so he lost the paper trail, and the credit went to someone else. This one's totally real, it's just bad timing costing him the history books. Invention 7, light bulbs with no wires. At the Chicago World's Fair in 1893, Tesla lit up glass tubes just by holding them near his equipment, no cord, no plug, nothing physically connected at all. To people back then, that looked like straight-up magic. Some visitors genuinely thought he was some kind of wizard. It was actually an early form of the same technology that eventually became fluorescent and neon lighting, and Tesla's real long-term goal was creating something like artificial sunlight. Completely real, publicly demonstrated in front of huge crowds, and honestly still looks impressive by today's standards. Invention 8, a machine built to shoot electricity through the sky. Out in Colorado Springs, Tesla built one of the biggest coils ever made, producing bolts of electricity over 20 feet long, on purpose, while testing whether he could send power wirelessly over huge distances. The famous photo of him casually sitting next to giant lightning bolts is real hardware but a fake photo. It's actually two separate photos combined by a photographer named Dickinson Alley, because the sparks would have killed anyone sitting that close in real life, and Tesla admitted as much himself. But the machine itself, and the giant sparks, were completely real, not a trick at all. Invention 9, a tower meant to give the whole planet free wireless power and communication, basically the internet, 100 years early. Tesla convinced the banker J.P. Morgan to put up $150,000, and built a massive tower on Long Island, standing well over 180 feet tall, planning to beam electricity and messages anywhere on Earth without a single wire. He actually built the tower, it's real, it stood there for years. But he ran out of money before he could ever turn it on. Morgan refused to fund the upgrades, and the whole project got shut down and eventually torn down for scrap during World War I. So this one's a real, half-finished dream, built but never switched on. Invention 10, using the entire Earth as a walkie-talkie. Tesla proposed sending vibrations straight through the ground itself and picking them up anywhere else on the planet, kind of like tapping on one end of a giant metal pipe and someone hearing it clearly on the other end, no matter how far away. He called it telegeodynamics, and claimed it could also be used to find gold, oil, and other resources buried underground. He actually built a small test version of this. It just never worked at any real distance. The ground swallows and scatters vibrations way too fast over long distances. So, real device, real experiment, but the big claim about global communication through solid rock never panned out. Invention 11, a plane that takes off straight up, like a helicopter. In 1928, near the end of his life, this was actually his very last patent. Tesla designed a flying machine that could lift straight off the ground and then tilt forward to fly like a normal airplane, powered by his own turbine design. On paper, that's basically describing the tilt-rotor aircraft the military flies today, decades before anyone else was seriously thinking about it. But Tesla never built one, no prototype, no test flight. It exists only as drawings and a patent filing, a genuinely impressive idea that stayed just an idea. Invention 12, an early version of radar. Back in 1917, during World War I, Tesla published an idea about bouncing electrical waves off enemy submarines and ships to figure out exactly where they were hiding underwater, even if you couldn't see them at all, and reading the reflected signal back on a screen. That's basically the core idea behind radar, word for word. But Tesla never actually built a working version of it himself, it stayed on paper. About 5 years later, Navy engineers built real working radar using pretty much the exact concept Tesla had described. So, credit for the idea goes to him, but the actual working invention belongs to someone else. Invention 13, the death ray. This is the one everybody's heard some version of. Late in life, Tesla claimed he'd invented a weapon he called Teleforce that could shoot down airplanes from 250 miles away using a concentrated beam of charged particles moving at incredible speed. He talked about it in interviews for years, trying to get governments interested enough to fund it, even offering it to different countries before World War II. Nobody's ever found a working model, a blueprint, or any real proof that it actually did what he said. Most historians think this one stayed entirely in Tesla's head. So, sorry to break it to you, the death ray is basically a myth, a big claim with nothing behind it. Invention 14, a camera for photographing your thoughts. In an interview when Tesla was in his 70s, he told a reporter he believed that when you picture something clearly in your mind, your eye actually forms a tiny real image of it on the retina, just like a camera lens does. And he said that someday, if you could shine the right light on the eye at the right moment, you could photograph that image and literally see someone's thoughts projected on a screen. He never built anything, never even sketched a real design, it was purely an idea he floated out loud to journalists. So this one's 100% theoretical, but it's a genuinely wild thing to hear someone confidently say back in the 1930s. Invention 15, and this one's a flat-out myth. There's a popular story that in 1931 Tesla ripped the engine out of a regular car, a Pierce Arrow like this one, and replaced it with a mystery box that pulled free energy straight out of the air, letting the car drive at highway speed with absolutely no fuel at all. It sounds incredible, and that's exactly the problem. The whole story traces back to just one man, decades after Tesla had already died, who claimed to be Tesla's nephew in an interview. Tesla's actual real-life grandnephew has said flat out that no relative by that name ever existed. There's no other evidence anywhere, no photos, no documents, nothing. So as fun as it is, the free energy car never existed. So there you go, 15 sides of Tesla, and the truth is a mix of genius inventions that actually shipped and changed the world, brilliant ideas that only ever made it to paper, and a couple of legends that grew way bigger than the facts ever actually were. That's honestly the most interesting part of his story. The real stuff, the boat, the turbine, the ozone company, the accidental X-rays, is just as wild as any of the myths. You just don't need to make anything up. If you like digging into the truth behind these, subscribe to Info Guru for more deep dives like this one.